The colossal crystalline dome of the Grand Concourse shimmered beneath Delmareth's three suns, scattering vibrant rainbows across a myriad of alien faces. This galactic peace summit, unprecedented in 300 years, united delegates from every edge of known space. Empires, long frozen in conflict, convened under a single roof, their age-old disputes momentarily eclipsed by the promise of diplomacy. Ethan Cole nervously smoothed his Regulation Earth diplomatic jumpsuit, a deep frown creasing his brow. The coffee machine, that blasted contraption, malfunctioned yet again. As the sole engineer attached to the human delegation, his official title was Technical Support Specialist, but in reality, he was just the coffee machine whisperer when Ambassador Thompson required her regular caffeine infusion. He grumbled, "Work, you overpriced kettle. The future of galactic diplomacy rests on you functioning flawlessly." The machine groaned with a foreboding rumble. At 35, Ethan hardly embodied the suave diplomat, his perpetually rumpled brown hair and unremarkable physique rendering him forgettable. He seamlessly merged into crowds, his sole captivating trait, warm hazel eyes that sparkled with amusement, now fixed in intense focus as he resurrected the archaic coffee maker. Earth's delegation paled in comparison to others. As a fledgling member of the Galactic Consortium, they held a modest rank at the summit, their table situated near the rear of the hall, mirroring their standing in interstellar political echelons. An abrupt silence descended upon the gathering. Ethan, engrossed with the coffee maker, remained unaware until Ambassador Thompson prodded him forcefully. "Cole," she snapped, "return to your seat immediately." "Just a moment, Ambassador. Nearly done." Something in her voice compelled Cole to look up. The entire hall was hushed, all eyes riveted on the main entrance, where a majestic entourage of towering, azure-skinned warriors advanced toward the center. Platform, their armor radiated like sleek obsidian, embellished with what seemed to be symbolic battle markings, inlaid with shimmering silver. Each warrior moved with unwavering precision, their synchronized steps creating a rhythmic pulse that was simultaneously mesmerizing and chilling. At their core strode a figure instantly recognizable, Princess Kelvara of the Vari Empire. Even Ethan, typically indifferent to galactic affairs, knew her instantly. The most formidable warrior across the cosmos, undefeated in battle, and the successor to the most aggressively militaristic empire. Her exploits echoed across the galaxy, her combat mastery inspiring terror throughout known space. Towering above others, sapphire skin etched with scars chronicled her triumphs. Silver hair, braided tight, cascaded down her back, framing eyes of pure black, pierced only by pinpricks of white light, surveyed the room with chilling precision. "Holy shit," Ethan breathed, abandoning the coffee machine. The Varari delegation froze. In the hall's heart, Princess Kavara advanced, her ceremonial battle sword, a crescent blade devouring light, rested at her side. "Before these esteemed powers, I stand as the herald of the enduring Varkari Empire," she declared, her voice resonating across the chamber. "We gather to ascertain if amity can prevail, or if conflict is unavoidable." A wave of apprehension swept through the assembly. "Yet first," she proceeded, "as custom dictates, I present the Gauntlet of Honor." The murmur intensified, became a shared gasp. Ambassador Thompson seized Ethan's arm. "Get back now," she hissed, alarmed. "What's going on?" Ethan questioned, bewildered. The Virari invariably present a ceremonial challenge prior to crucial diplomatic discussions. It's a tradition. They select a champion to face their mightiest warrior in a non-deadly contest. Purely symbolic, designed to define the pecking order for subsequent talks. So who's our champion? Thompson's face paled. We weren't instructed to bring one. This wasn't slated to occur until day 3. On the platform, Princess Kelvara was. Surveying the chamber, her fierce eyes swept across each delegation. I seek Earth's champion, she announced. Let them emerge and meet me in glorious combat. The human delegation stood paralyzed. Ambassador Thompson appeared on the verge of collapse. What do we do, Ethan? He frantically whispered. I haven't a clue, Thompson shot back, panicked. If we decline, we forfeit all credibility in these negotiations. If we accept, whoever confronts her faces utter humiliation, or far worse. Kelvar's intense stare fixed upon the Earth delegation. So the humans shrink back in terror, she sneered. Her voice dripped with sarcasm. Maybe they shouldn't have been invited if they're so spineless. I will, Ethan declared, the sound surprising even himself. Ambassador Thompson gaped, aghast. Cole, what in God's name are you doing? Stalling for us, he mumbled, advancing before second thoughts could paralyze him. The entire hall seemed to inhale sharply as Ethan approached Princess Kelvara, acutely aware of her towering presence. Nearly 2 feet, escalating the peril I pose. Earth's ultimate champion, he declared, striving to mask his dread. I embrace your contest. A brief flicker of astonishment danced across Kelvar's face, swiftly yielding to mocking amusement. You? She inquired, her gaze sweeping over him with disdain. You represent the pinnacle of Earth's martial prowess? A ripple of laughter passed through the crowd, instantly suppressed. Ethan's throat constricted. He croaked, I am. Kelvara lifted her ornate sword, declaring, Then steel yourself, Earth Champion. This contest decides your people's fate in the approaching negotiations. Weaponless, armorless, and untrained, Ethan watched as the princess poised her blade. Time dilated. He perceived the coil of her muscles, the glint of anticipation in her eyes, the sea of alien faces eager for his downfall. In that instant, Ethan reacted instinctively as Princess Kelvara initiated what was intended as a symbolic blow. Against his shoulder, Ethan advanced, breaching her defenses. He slipped past her weapon, enveloping her in a heartfelt embrace. His arms tightened around her armored form, his face nestled against the frigid metal. Ethan Cole, coffee machine technician and impromptu ambassador, offered the galaxy's most formidable warrior a sincere, comforting hug. The ensuing silence was profound. For a fleeting moment, time stood still. Then, with a deafening crash, Kelvara's sword clattered to the floor, the metallic echo resonating through the hall, a sound like a thunderous explosion. Ethan feared he'd miscalculated. Catastrophic blunder initiated withdrawal, yet a unified gasp resonated from the very delegation prior, numerous warriors collapsing prostrate. What atrocity is this? Kelvara murmured, barely audible to Ethan, her frame unyielding, a nascent fear supplanting her frigid demeanor. Utter pandemonium ensued. Ethan recoiled, hands raised apologetically. My apologies, he stammered. No offense intended. She silenced him with a sharp gesture, then addressed her Virari delegation in their guttural language. Immediately, the warriors surged forward, forming an unyielding shield around Kelvara and the bewildered human. "He has invoked the ancient rite of life-binding," one warrior proclaimed to the stunned assembly. "The trial is complete. Negotiations are suspended until the morrow." Before Ethan could inquire about the commotion, he was abruptly whisked away, practically manhandled, from the hall by a contingent of formidable Vari warriors. Princess Kelvara, leading the charge with an aura of palpable fury. As they departed, he briefly caught Ambassador Thompson's expression, a mix of impending tears and suppressed laughter, both equally ominous. The final image seared into Ethan's memory was the sea of faces of dignitaries from 1,000 worlds, their expressions a spectrum from utter shock to sheer horror, and perhaps a sliver of reluctant admiration, leaving him to ponder the gravity of his actions. Dunnett was decidedly outside his purview. The Varari Royal Shuttle, a polished obsidian dread, mirrored its intimidating passengers. Ethan sat rigidly, encircled by warriors whose gazes fluctuated from intrigue to blatant animosity. Princess Kelvara, eyes like focused beams, pierced him. "You possess no comprehension of the ramifications, do you?" She broke the oppressive silence. Ethan hesitated. "I'm postulating I transgressed some protocol?" "A peculiar protocol." A noise escaped a warrior, a stifled blend of cough and chuckle. "Protocol," Kelvara echoed, savoring the word. "Indeed. By rejecting my challenge and instead offering a physical embrace, you've triggered an age-old Vari rite, life-binding. This signifies, human, you have essentially proposed marriage before the entire galactic assembly." Ethan blinked, bewildered. "I've what?" "Among my people, to spurn combat for affection is the most profound form of courtship. Signifies that you willingly intertwine your destiny with mine instead of challenging me. But I was merely trying to avoid being impaled this time." Muffled amusement rippled through the warriors, instantly quelled by Kelvara's icy stare. "Your lack of awareness holds no importance," she stated frigidly. "This binding ritual was publicly executed, witnessed by key figures from every leading faction. Its effects are irreversible." Ethan raked his fingers through his hair, struggling to grasp the gravity of the situation. "So what now?" "Now, you shall journey with me to the esteemed Varari Royal Palace, where you will confront the Gauntlet of the Heart Trial." The Heart Trial? A harrowing series of trials designed to ascertain your merit as my destined partner. A chilling undercurrent in her voice sent shivers down Ethan's spine. And should I falter in these trials? Kelvara's lips stretched into a semblance of a smile, a gesture that on a human might be considered pleasant, but on her, it resembled a predator baring its fangs. "Then your demise is assured, naturally." The warrior adjacent to Ethan leaned in, murmuring, "Fear not, mortal. None have ever emerged victorious from the heart trial. Your torment shall be mercifully brief." "That's hardly the solace you imagine," the warrior countered, shrugging. "It wasn't intended to soothe." Ethan pivoted to Kelvara, pleading, "Surely there's a solution. Can't we clarify it was a simple misinterpretation? Hugs on Earth are merely amiable greetings." "The ceremony has been observed," she reiterated. "To rescind now would disgrace us both. I'd forfeit my prestige, and Earth would be branded as perfidious. So I'm expected to simply acquiesce and perish in your world." Unease momentarily shadowed Kalivara's countenance. Outright defiance would imperil your civilization. Spurning the life-binding ritual publicly invites imperial reprisal, possibly devastating your world. A somber Ethan queried, interpreting her implication as a threat. She rebuffed, stating, "General Thax, a hawkish expansionist, anticipates a flimsy excuse to annex your planet." A prolonged silence enveloped Ethan, weighing his grim choices, each potentially catastrophic. Moment he inquired, "About how long do these heart trials typically extend? Roughly 3 lunar cycles, or about 90 Earth days? And what becomes of the Peace Summit during this period? I shall still be present, as will you, my intended, correct?" A notion began solidifying within Ethan's thoughts. 90 days. If he could persevere that long, perhaps he could discover an escape from this predicament. Or, at the very least, stall sufficiently for Earth's emissaries to procure a degree of safeguard. "Very well," he conceded at last. "I shall engage in your heart trial." Kelvara's gaze narrowed, plainly distrustful of his swift compliance. "Acquiescence," you grasp the inevitable demise. "I acknowledge limited agency, yet harbor the potential for delightful surprise." The adjacent warrior emitted that peculiar chuckle. "This human amuses me, confronting mortality with levity." "Nay, it's ignorance, not valor," Kelvara interjected. "But his recklessness possesses a certain charm." Ethan pondered the compliment-insult duality. "So, Ryson, are you implicated in this heart trial endeavor?" The warrior affirmed. "I am the princess's unwavering shield, bound to her steps. I shall observe your endeavors to demonstrate worth, and with due solemnity, lament your destined defeat." "I offer no solace, only acknowledgement." The shuttle initiated its landing, and through the window, Ethan beheld the magnificent Very Royal Palace, a colossal edifice of obsidian rock and radiant metal, its towers clawing towards the scarlet heavens like a gargantuan predator, a stark contrast to the refined grace of Delmareth's diplomatic hub. Everything within the palace radiated power, might, and awe-inspiring presence. It was. Ethan mused, a flawless mirror of its creators as the shuttle touched down on an expansive platform. Kelvara pinned him with her unnerving stare again. "From this instant, human, you are irrevocably bound as my betrothed. You shall receive the deference due your status, pending the heart trial. Savor what remains." Following that chilling adieu, she ascended and exited the shuttle, her warriors trailing in impeccable order, save for Resin, who lingered beside Ethan. "Come, Earthling," he stated, rising and offering a hand. "I shall guide you to your chambers. Endeavor not to antagonize others en route. Some of our traditions bear consequences far graver than espousal to the princess." Honestly, that's the most genuinely insightful thing anyone's uttered to me amidst this entire debacle. Reen's demeanor softened a fraction. "Perhaps you're not completely devoid of sagacity, it seems." Stepping off, Ethan gazed at the formidable palace, desperately silencing the inner voice, shrieking about being hopelessly out of his depth. 90 days. Merely survive 90 days. How challenging could that genuinely be? Ethan's chambers within the Very Palace proved surprisingly opulent, notwithstanding the slight detail that they essentially constituted an extravagant, gilded cage. The expansive chamber boasted soaring ceilings and colossal windows, showcasing the vibrant crimson skies and the sprawling metropolis. While the furnishings were clearly scaled for a being of immense size, they served their purpose adequately. His initial night dissolved into a haze of apprehension and interstellar travel fatigue. Dawn arrived, heralded by the jarring resonance of what resembled ceremonial gongs. Rian appeared, stating, "The princess requests your esteemed presence in the royal dining hall. Disregarding her summons would be ill-advised." "Affirmative," Ethan responded briskly, dressing in the unexpectedly supple, metallic-looking, very-esque attire. "Anything crucial to be aware of? Any grave faux pas I should circumvent inside?" Reen pondered. "Initiate communication only when addressed. Evade direct eye contact with General Thax. Abstain from physical contact with the princess without explicit consent. Accept all comestibles, yet partake conservatively. Exceeds the princess's own, and paramountly, conceal any vulnerability. A considerable undertaking, yet merely sufficient to circumvent giving offense. I urge meticulous observation of the princess's conduct, emulating it with utmost precision. Understood? Emulate her actions." Ray scrutinized him, impressed. "Your composure surpasses expectation. Most enduring this arduous trial succumb to abject fear by now." Ethan conceded with a shrug. "Oh, I'm petrified. I merely excel at compartmentalization." Compartmentalization? A human psychological artifice, confining fear within a mental construct, addressing it subsequently. "I'm prioritizing damage control for now." "Intriguing," Reason mused. "Your species' approach to dread is peculiar. The Virari champion direct confrontation, conquering fear through might. Diverse strategies, unified aim," Ethan remarked, glancing in the mirror, battling his rebellious hair. "We all aspire to conquer our anxieties, merely employing distinct paths." "Perhaps," Reason conceded, unconvinced. "Come, tardiness is unacceptable. The royal hall inspires awe." Its imposing presence, a sleek obsidian table, commanded the room's core, encircled by throne-like chairs. Walls displayed weaponry, war banners, and bizarre, preserved creature heads. Princess Kelvara, in slightly less deadly formal armor, presided. A senior Vari male, radiating silent authority, sat to her right, his azure skin deeper. Kelvara's eyes, nearing indigo, bore a network of battle scars, a brutal cartography etched onto his face. General Thax, Ethan surmised, recalling Reese's caution against direct eye contact. Several Vari warriors encircled the table, their gazes fixed on Ethan, a mixture of intense curiosity and blatant contempt. Reese guided him to a vacant chair beside the princess. "The human has arrived," Kelvara declared, her voice devoid of inflection. "Ethan Cole, take your seat." Ethan assumed his position, meticulously mirroring the other's erect posture and palms-down hand placement. A servant promptly materialized, setting a goblet and plate before him. "I presume your lodgings were to your liking?" Kelvara inquired. "They were, thank you," Ethan responded, maintaining a composed tone. "Your graciousness is deeply appreciated." A fleeting astonishment briefly touched the princess's countenance, swiftly veiled. Evidently, she hadn't anticipated his grasp of proper Vari decorum. Ethan internally acknowledged the diplomatic briefing he'd perused en route to Delmareth. "The human is versed in our traditions," General Thax remarked, noting Ethan's adherence to their customs. Voice a low rumble. "Serendipitously, I grasp the fundamentals," Ethan stated, meticulously avoiding eye contact with the general, keeping his gaze fixed on the table. "However, I'm confident there's a wealth of knowledge yet to uncover." "Precisely," Kelvara responded, commencing with the trial of hearts. "Today, we proclaim the official engagement, and the initiation of the trial. Platters of food emerged, showcasing meats in diverse states, from barely cooked to intensely seasoned, alongside questionable vegetables, bearing scant resemblance to terrestrial varieties. The trial of hearts entails 3 stages, Kivara proceeded, as attendants replenished their goblets with an ethereal azure fluid. The ordeal of physique, the ordeal of intellect, and the ordeal of soul. Each will rigorously evaluate your eligibility as a partner, congruent with Varari customs. And what precise parameters do these ordeals encompass? Ethan inquired warily, sampling his goblet's contents. The fluid possessed a taste akin to a fusion of mint and crackling energy, assuming energy possessed a flavor profile. That would negate the objective, General Thax countered preemptively, forestalling Kivara's response. The ordeals must be confronted spontaneously. Solely then can we genuinely gauge your fortitude, his intonation emphasizing fortitude. Underscored that he doubted Ethan's aptitude, Kelvara interjected, "The inaugural trial commences at daybreak tomorrow. Prepare for rigorous physical confrontation." Ethan sputtered. "Combat against whom?" "Against me, naturally," she retorted, as if self-evident. "How else shall I gauge your martial capabilities?" "I perceive," Ethan replied, taking a generous gulp. "And to clarify, this is a duel to the demise." Several warriors erupted in laughter. Even Kelvara's lips curled with amusement. "No, mortal. Only if I so decree. To slay you, I'd have already acted. This trial gauges resilience, tenacity, and combat prowess, not fatalities. That fate may await, contingent on your showing." General Thax stated icily, "Such leniency is atypical for the princess. Customarily, the heart trial equates defeat with demise." Kelvara cautioned, "Father, the human is our venerated guest, bound by sacred custom. He shall receive due deference." Thax's countenance clouded, yet he bowed his head in assent. As desired, recognition settled, ushering in an uneasy quiet that blanketed the table, disrupted solely by the symphony of consumption. Ethan, diligently adhering to the script, mirrored Kelvara's rhythm, partaking in synchronized bites and sips. "Enlighten me, Earthling," a warrior interjected abruptly. "In what disciplines of armed conflict are your skills honed?" Ethan faltered momentarily. "Well, I did attend a solitary self-preservation seminar once upon a time." The warrior momentarily paused. "Indeed, a class. Think of it as a brief, intensive course, lasting roughly 6 weeks, every Thursday. I gained knowledge on escaping holds and, identifying vulnerable points for self-defense during a potential mugging." Silence enveloped the table once more. This time, a stunned silence, not awkward. "You're just a warrior?" someone eventually inquired. "Surely Earth's chosen champion has honed countless fighting arts." "I'm an engineer," Ethan confessed. "I troubleshoot problems. My battles are primarily with faulty machinery." General Thax emphatically slammed his goblet onto the table. "This is Are you serious? Earth dispatched an ill-equipped technician to represent them at the summit? This is a blatant affront to the Vari Empire." Kelvara's voice cut like a knife. "The human didn't seek this role. He bravely volunteered when no one else dared. There's inherent nobility in that, irrespective of his preparation," someone countered. "There's also colossal naivete," Thax retorted, "or calculated subterfuge. Perhaps Earth believes they can flout our customs without consequence." "Ethan," abandoning Reese's counsel in his growing vexation, interjected, "Earth was ignorant of your traditions because we were never informed. We weren't even meant to attend." Summit until the very end. Our invite materialized merely 72 hours before the grand event. This bombshell ignited a fresh wave of astonishment. "Can this be factual?" Kelvar pressed, pivoting to Reen. The warrior conceded with reluctance, "Regrettably, Princess, it appears so. Earth's delegation was a final inclusion to the summit's list, potentially leading to expedited, perhaps even curtailed, briefings." Ethan asserted, "Clearly, this entire predicament stems from a simple miscommunication. My intent was never to offend or ridicule your customs. I was utterly unaware of the gravity of my involvement." General Thax's demeanor remained ominous, yet Kelvar's countenance underwent a delicate transformation, a subtle mellowing that might have escaped detection had Ethan not been observing her with such meticulous attention. "Lack of awareness doesn't absolve you of accountability for your deeds," she declared, though her inflection carried a hint less severity than prior. "The life binding is verified. The heart trial remains inevitable." "Proceed. I understand," Ethan affirmed. I assured her I'm not reneging. I'm merely seeking deeper cultural insight. Kelvara scrutinized him, then conceded, "Very well. Post-meal, Rel will grant you access to our historical repository. Glean what you can regarding our traditions before tomorrow's ordeal." "Thank you, Princess," Ethan expressed, truly appreciative. "That's all I implore." General Thax surged from his seat. "I have pressing matters," he declared, barely masking his disapproval. "Princess, we shall convene later." With that, he departed. He stormed from the chamber, his boots resounding on the gleaming floor. "You've truly incensed him, Reese," Ethan muttered. "I rather suspected as much," Ethan responded softly. Reese's expression was somber. General Thax holds grudges and has never favored outsiders. "Fantastic. I've now antagonized the very Empire's supreme military leader. This day improves endlessly," he said sarcastically. "Quite the opposite," Kelvara stated, her hearing keener than Ethan realized. "You've earned a certain degree of respect. Few would venture such candor before my father. It wasn't premeditated," Ethan confessed. "Intent holds less sway than deed amongst the Varari," she cautioned. "Bear that in mind during the heart trial." As the meal drew to a close and warriors scattered, Kelvara signaled Ethan to stay. "A piece of counsel, human," she began, once reasonably alone with reason at a respectful distance. "Don't misconstrue my father's reservations as simple bias. His distrust of other species stems from deeply ingrained historical justifications." Comprehended, Ethan voiced, though uncertain of his grasp. "Henceforth, I'll strive for greater diplomacy." "Nay," she countered, startling him. "Frankness and candor I esteem. Duplicity I utterly detest." She ascended, looming over him. "At daybreak we convene. Fortify thyself as thou art able." With that, she departed, abandoning Ethan to ponder the recent events and a burgeoning foreboding about the morrow. The Vari's ancient chronicles dwelled within a colossal, somberly illuminated hall beneath the palace. Countless tiers of what seemed to be crystalline records. Illuminated storage units lined the walls, each pulsating with a gentle light. Housing the Varari people's entire recorded history, Rissan elucidated, guiding Ethan through the labyrinthine space, over a millennium of knowledge. And I've got approximately a dozen hours to delve into it. Ethan mumbled. No stress. Risen steered him to a terminal customized for human interaction. This interface is programmed with your language, granting access to information most pertinent to your predicament. Grateful, Ethan stated, sinking into the chair, characteristically somewhat too considerable for him. I deeply value the aid. Reen paused, then inquired, Why did you act? Act how? Ethan advanced. As Earth's emissary, you were undeniably ill-equipped. The danger must have been evident. Ethan reflected candidly. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Ambassador Thompson appeared utterly petrified, and I simply reacted. I hoped I could stall, perhaps endure a token loss, allowing seasoned diplomats to resolve matters subsequently. And the embrace, also a mere impulse. Ethan grinned wryly. That was sheer survival. Where I'm from, embracing someone is infinitely safer than engaging in swordplay. Yet you've unintentionally ensnare yourself with the galaxy's deadliest warrior. The irony is palpable. I've scrutinized him with an unnerving intensity. You're either remarkably courageous or spectacularly naive, likely a blend. I concede I'm outmatched, yet I strive to salvage this predicament. Avoiding interstellar conflict and ritualistic demise are my priorities. Thus I'll absorb knowledge and aspire for triumph. Reen was taken aback when he felt a gentle hand on his shoulder, a surprisingly amicable gesture. Your candidness is genuinely revitalizing, human. The majority of outsiders attempt to awe us with insincere bluster. Exhausted, Reen retorted, I'm simply too weary for any sort of theatricality, genuine or fabricated. The warrior emitted a sound akin to a soft chuckle. I shall allow you to resume your research. A servant will provide sustenance. Should queries arise, activate this crystal. He gestured towards a petite crimson gem integrated into the terminal. I remain vigilant throughout the night. As the princess's sworn protector, I forgo slumber when she requires my attention. As Reen vanished, Ethan found himself isolated with millennia of very lore and a rapidly closing deadline. With a sigh, he faced the terminal, seeking insights into the daunting heart trial. The revelations were hardly comforting. The heart trial, an age-old custom from the Vari Empire's genesis, was initially a gauntlet for prospective royal consorts. It was crafted to guarantee only the most resilient, brilliant, and spiritually resonant would integrate into the royal lineage. Over generations, as the Varari grew more martial, its trials transforming into ever more savage ordeals. Historical accounts suggest a survival rate below 10%. Ethan's impending trial of body usually meant facing a royal family member in battle. Victory was improbable, seen as an affront to royal skill. Challengers were evaluated on form, stamina, bravery, and pain tolerance. Fantastic, Ethan sighed. So I'm expected to lose with elegance and endure a thrashing. The trial of mind was even more. Customarily personalized for each royal, it encompassed strategic games, diplomatic simulations, or intellectual assessments. Failing meant instant elimination, historically punishable by death. The spirit trial, most enigmatic, was termed the unveiling of the authentic self, the ultimate worthiness evaluation. Its specifics remained frustratingly obscure. As time elapsed, Ethan explored deeply, examining not only the heart trial, but also broader Vari-culture. Delving into their fierce warrior ethos, intricate honor system, and reverence for strength as the paramount virtue, he unearthed whispers of bygone eras, predating General Thax's ascent and the reign of military fundamentalists, a time when the Varari esteemed poetry, music, and philosophical debate alongside martial excellence. Most compellingly, he learned that the life-binding ritual, inadvertently triggered by his embrace, was not initially a marriage proposal, but a peace accord where ancient adversaries would embrace to demonstrate their selection of accord over discord, later transforming into a romantic declaration. I essentially presented her with a truce, yet it was universally perceived as a marriage proposition, Ethan reflected. That's genuinely captivating. He delved deeper, immersing himself in Vari culture, annals, and mindset. As daybreak neared, his focus shifted from the heart trial to grasping the essence of the people themselves, notably Princess Kelvara and General Thax. He discovered that the general had ascended to prominence amidst a period of external perils menaced the Vari Empire. His triumphant military endeavors had broadened their dominion and fortified their frontiers, albeit incurring escalating alienation from other species under his sway. The erstwhile multifaceted Vari diplomatic ensemble had dwindled to a mere military attaché, and cultural reciprocity had virtually terminated. Kivara, his adoptive scion and successor, had been nurtured within this bellicose milieu. Her martial valor was mythic, even amongst the Varari, and she had remained undefeated in sanctioned combat. Nevertheless, nascent intimations were surfacing in the more contemporary. Records indicated mounting friction between her and her father, slight policy clashes, and burgeoning autonomy, hinting she didn't entirely echo his insular perspective. Ethan, eyes stinging with exhaustion as he left the console, felt a nascent understanding, insufficient for assured navigation, yet enough for a flicker of insight. Should the Vari prize power above all, perhaps he needed to exhibit an alternative fortitude, one unfamiliar yet potentially worthy of their esteem. A gamble, but all he had. His sole arena strategy involved a tiered, circular combat pit evoking ancient Roman colosseums. Dawn painted long shadows as Ethan, heart pounding, stood at the entrance in provided lightweight, albeit heavy, training armor. He wielded a staff, his only viable weapon choice to avoid self-injury, as Rien reminded him beforehand. The princess craves not victory, but a display of valor and resilience. Resist undue haste, yet shun needless torment. Embrace defeat with grace. A profound horn echoed. Rien affirmed, "The moment arrives. May your lineage empower your steel." Ethan Cole replied, "Acknowledged." He entered the sun-drenched arena, met by the stoic gaze of Vari warriors and nobles. General Thax observed from above, his demeanor icy and severe. From the far entrance, Princess Kelvara materialized, clad in sparse armor, radiating self-assuredness. She brandished a training sword, deceptively dangerous despite its dulled edge. Her tightly bound silver hair framed piercing black eyes locked on Ethan with a hunter's intensity. They converged at the arena's center, marked by a white circle etched in the sand. "The trial of body commences," a herald proclaimed. "Princess Kelvara shall assess the physical prowess of the human, Ethan Cole. The trial concludes upon one's defeat. Combatant succumbs, loses consciousness, or exits the arena. Kelvara brandished her sword in a respectful salute. Ethan clumsily mirrored the gesture with his staff. "Commence!" the herald bellowed. Kelvara's swiftness blurred before Ethan's eyes, one instant, poised motionless the next. Her sword hurtled toward his torso. Raw instinct propelled him to raise his staff for defense, yet her forceful strike jolted him, reeling backward. "Impressive," she remarked, feigning mild surprise. "Your reflexes are remarkably sharp indeed." "Appreciate it," Ethan wheezed. Striving to steady himself, he quipped, "I'm quite the avid gamer." She frowned, puzzled, yet pressed her assault. She renewed her onslaught, unleashing a flurry of swift blows he could scarcely follow, much less parry. He deflected or evaded the majority, but several landed, jolting him with agonizing pain through his arms and shoulders. Soon he was gasping for air, his muscles ablaze with effort. Kelvara, conversely, remained unfazed, not even breaking a sweat. "You're holding back," he charged during a momentary pause. "Naturally," she retorted. "If I unleashed my full power, you would be long gone by now." Valid observation, they orbited each other, Ethan gasping for air while desperately seeking a chink in her armor. There was absolutely none. Her stance was flawless. Her guard was unbreakable. As she unleashed another assault, Ethan resolved to switch tactics. Abandoning the futile strategy of blocking or countering against a superior opponent, he prioritized evasion. He dodged, weaved, and pirouetted, leveraging his diminished stature and reduced mass to perpetually skirt the edge of her blade. This seemed to pique her interest. "You evolve," she remarked. "Excellent. I'm an engineer," he retorted, breathlessly. "Ingenuity is our hallmark." For what seemed an eternity, their ballet continued. Kelvara assaulting with calculated grace, Ethan dodging with escalating urgency. The crowd, hushed and captivated, would occasionally stir with impressed whispers at a particularly brilliant maneuver. But Ethan's stamina was waning. His lungs screamed, his legs quaked, and his reflexes dulled. It was inevitable. A searing pain erupted across his ribs as her blade found its mark, solid and true. He reeled, on the precipice of collapse. Grappling, he barely managed to raise his staff to parry her next strike. The force reverberated through his weary limbs. "Yield, Ethan," Kelvara advised with a hint of compassion. He weighed it. Clearly outclassed, persistence meant further agony. Yet pride, resolve, or perhaps the weight of Earth's fragile diplomacy stiffened his resolve. "Not yet," he strained. Her gaze hardened. "As you wish." The following strike slammed into his shoulder, driving him to his knees. His staff crashed to the earth beside him. Kelvara loomed over him, sword poised for the final blow, and in that instant, Ethan experienced a profound realization. He couldn't triumph in this battle, not in the conventional manner. Yet perhaps triumph wasn't the goal. Perhaps there existed an alternate avenue to demonstrate fortitude. As Kelvara's sword plunged downward, Ethan executed the most unexpected act. He offered her a sincere, radiant smile, devoid of pain or terror. A genuine, heartfelt smile. "Thank you," he uttered. The sword halted mere inches from his head, Kelvara's expression morphing from unwavering resolve to utter bewilderment. "Pardon me, what was that?" I expressed. "My gratitude for the insightful lesson. I've gained a profound understanding of very combat today." The arena was hushed. Even the breeze appeared to pause in anticipation. "You're expressing thanks for your defeat?" "Enlightenment transcends defeat," Ethan responded, paraphrasing an age-old philosophical passage he'd absorbed recently. "Only ignorance can truly claim victory." Kelvara's gaze widened, acknowledging the quote. For a suspended moment, she remained still, blade raised, then gradually lowered it. "You've immersed yourself in our ancient lore," she uttered, her voice barely audible. The audience to clearly hear, "I did so I could better understand your people." A prolonged pause followed. Then, to the utter astonishment of all those present, including Ethan, Princess Kelvara offered her hand, exclaiming, "Rise!" Her voice resonated for everyone to hear. "You have bravely withstood the trial of body with unforeseen sagacity." Ethan accepted her hand, allowing her to assist him in standing. His body screamed in protest, yet he managed to stand tall, facing her directly. The human has persevered, remains conscious, and has not vacated the circle, she proclaimed to the assembled crowd. The ordeal of the flesh concludes. A wave of astonishment washed over the spectators. From his commanding vantage point, General Thax leaned forward, his face a storm of fury. "This is absolutely unheard of," he thundered. "The human contestant clearly lost the physical exchange. The established stipulations for ending the trial remain unfulfilled." Kelvar retorted, "As the instigator of this challenge, I reserve the prerogative to declare its termination." Thax's jaw tightened, but he offered no further debate. With a brusque nod, he ascended and departed the platform, his dissatisfaction radiating from every fiber of his being. As the crowd thinned, Calavara faced Ethan, her voice hushed. "That was quite the surprise." She observed, "You battled not with brute force, but with intellect." Ethan, grimacing with pain as he attempted a breath, responded, "I merely employed the resources at my disposal," suspecting a fractured rib. "Indeed," she mused, regarding him with fresh fascination. "Perhaps you possess a hidden resilience." Before he could retort, she departed the arena, leaving him staggering, utterly drained, yet strangely invigorated. Exhilarated, Rhys materialized beside him, bolstering him as his legs buckled. "What in the world did you do?" the warrior questioned, his tone a blend of awe and apprehension. "The princess has never concluded a combat trial prematurely. It's unheard of." "I merely redefined the boundaries," Ethan murmured, before succumbing to unconsciousness. Ethan awoke in his chamber, his form swathed in therapeutic bandages radiating a gentle azure luminescence. Rhys was stationed nearby, resembling a protector plucked straight from a terrestrial crime series. "How long have I been sidelined?" Ethan croaked, his voice coarse. 6 hours, Rhys stated. The medic reported 3 fractured ribs, significant muscle trauma, and a slight concussion. These bandages should expedite recovery, but expect discomfort for a few days. Fantastic, perfect timing for the impending trial. Actually, the princess has deferred the intellect trial until you've healed, deeming it unjust to assess your cognitive abilities while injured. Ethan was astonished. That's remarkably thoughtful. "The princess possesses a strong moral compass," Rhys stated, with a touch of protectiveness. "Doesn't pursue unjust benefits. I apologize if I implied differently," Ethan clarified. "I'm simply astonished considering historical accounts of the heart trials." Rhys's demeanor eased marginally. "The princess diverges significantly from her forebears. Her father perceives this as fragility." He paused, appearing reluctant to continue. "Others," Ethan completed, "believe it fortifies her." Reason nodded tentatively. "Some still recall the ancient customs predating General Thax's ascension, when the Very were celebrated not only for their martial prowess, but also for their profound wisdom, artistic brilliance, and philosophical depth. You strike me as one of them. Wouldn't you agree?" That's the underlying reason you've aided me so diligently. The warrior's countenance turned cautious. I am devoted to the princess. My sentiments hold no weight. Understood, Ethan responded, choosing not to delve deeper. So when am I permitted to rise from this bed? The technicians will be back within hours to evaluate your recovery. Until then, absolute rest is paramount. Ethan exhaled and reclined against the plush pillows. I suppose I have little alternative. Reen stood up. I must relay word to the princess. A vigilant servant will remain just outside, should you require any assistance, he stated. As he approached the exit, Ethan spoke. My deepest gratitude for everything. The warrior momentarily halted, offering a subtle nod before withdrawing. Now alone, Ethan gazed at the ceiling, reliving the intense combat trial. He'd persevered, albeit narrowly, yet the forthcoming trials promised even greater adversity. A superior strategy was essential, something beyond mere improvisation and luck. Suddenly, the door reopened, revealing Princess Kelvara, to his complete astonishment. Clad not in battle armor, but in refined diplomatic wear, he managed, "Princess," attempting to rise, a sharp pain piercing his chest. Stay calm, she urged, nearing his bed. Your wounds demand repose. Is everything all right? He questioned, intrigued by her unforeseen presence. I'm here to gauge your state, she stated flatly. The mental trial necessitates peak cognitive capacity. It's unfitting to continue until you're healed, so I was informed. Thank you for the concern. She scrutinized him briefly, her dark eyes inscrutable. Your performance in the body trials was exceptional, truly remarkable. I've been getting that feedback quite a bit recently. You cited the philosopher General Vexlar, but his insightful works haven't been integrated into official Vari curriculum for nearly 3 generations. I discovered his compelling writings deep within the archives. They deeply resonated with my core. Kelvara inclined her head subtly. Why this fascination? What drew you to him? Because he profoundly understood that genuine strength isn't merely about raw physical power or overwhelming military force. It encompasses wisdom, resourcefulness, mental fortitude, qualities humans seem to prioritize. Emotions are a liability, she stated flatly. But there, a subtle tremor laced her voice, questioning if they were merely different facets of strength, perhaps harder to quantify in battle, yet undeniably precious. Silence followed, her gaze drifting towards the window and the blood-red sky. You sound more like a sage than a soldier. Is that common on Earth? Sometimes we aspire to be both. Intrigue sparked in her eyes. Tell me of Earth, not of war or governance. I've consumed those reports. Tell me about its people. An unforeseen request, but Ethan embraced the opening. In the coming hour, he regaled her with tales of Earth, its vibrant cultures, captivating art, and soul-stirring music, its inherent contradictions and perplexing complexities. He spoke of human resilience, communities uniting in the aftermath of devastation, and the capacity for both unspeakable cruelty and remarkable compassion. Kelvara absorbed his words with unexpected fascination, interjecting with insightful questions that betrayed a sincere inquisitiveness about the essence of humanity. Your species is truly enigmatic, she finally mused, lacking the raw physical power of numerous other races. Yet you have not only endured, but flourished. You even wage war amongst yourselves. Paradoxically, You champion peace while embracing conflict. You cherish life, yet gamble it on ethereal ideals like love and liberty. We embody such complexities, Ethan mused with a faint smile. It's our very essence. Perhaps, she yielded, before sharply pivoting. The peace talks resume tomorrow, demanding my presence. You shall attend once medically cleared for transit. Indeed, as my future spouse, your attendance at diplomatic events is vital. Ah, the betrothal, she remarked, momentarily aloof. A hint of amusement danced across her face. Few could forget being beholden to the allure of the very empire. Indeed, my mind has been occupied. Brushes with mortality can be quite distracting. This time, her lips undeniably tilted upward. Rest, Ethan Cole. We shall converse again on the morrow. As she departed, Ethan discovered himself smiling despite his discomfort. It wasn't significant, yet it felt like advancement. Princess Kelvara, the galaxy's most formidable warrior, had nearly smiled at him. Perhaps, just perhaps, he wouldn't meet his end in this arduous trial. The Peace Summit resumed within the illustrious Grand Hall of Delmareth, scene of Ethan's recent trial, now saw him not as a technician, but as Princess Kelvara's fiancé, leading the Virari delegation. Dignitaries reacted with shock, curiosity, and subtle amusement. Ambassador Thompson, aghast, seemed faint. Good to see you again, Cole. Ethan greeted her as the delegation sat. What in the world is happening? She hissed. Rumor has it, you're betrothed to royalty, embroiled in a perilous gauntlet. The diplomatic sphere is in absolute chaos, he began. Long story, he sighed. The condensed version? A ceremonial misstep led to an accidental proposal by very standards. Now I must demonstrate my merit through a series of exceptionally dangerous trials. Thompson's gaze intensified. You jest. If only, he lamented. Before she could reply, General Thax materialized, his imposing stature silencing the surrounding envoys. Ambassador Thompson, he announced, said his resonant voice, laced with a subtle menace. I trust Earth's delegation is ready to deliberate on the revised territorial accords. Thompson visibly composed herself, adopting her most diplomatic demeanor. Naturally, General, Earth remains committed to amicable resolutions. Excellent, Thax responded, because the stipulations have evolved since our last discourse. Ethan felt a surge of apprehension, detecting the veiled threat in the General's measured tone. Evolved in what manner, precisely? Thompson inquired cautiously. Given recent occurrences, Thax stated, his gaze momentarily darting towards Ethan. The Virari Empire now necessitates further stringent security protocols, notably the complete demilitarization of all off-world human settlements and unfettered access to your interconnected jump gate system. Thompson's face was unreadable, but Ethan detected the sudden fear in her eyes. These are incredibly profound alterations, General. They would undoubtedly necessitate deliberation with Earth's governing bodies. Thax nodded serenely. By all means, deliberate as long as you require. The Veri are exceptionally tolerant. His veiled tone betrayed the finite nature of that tolerance as he proceeded to converse with other dignitaries. Thompson pivoted towards Ethan, her voice hushed and laced with desperation. Cole, what in God's name have you unleashed? This deviates wildly from the original accord. Was about restricted trade privileges and a peace treaty, but now they're effectively coercing us to relinquish command of our complete defense grid. This isn't about my actions, Ethan clarified, the realization dawning on him. It's about the General's scheme. He's exploiting my engagement to Kelvara as bargaining power. Should I falter in the heart trial, it will be interpreted as Earth spurning the Varari, offering him the justification he requires for an act of war. And if I prevail, I doubt that's factored into his designs. The summit commenced before further discussion, with delegates from diverse species presenting. Their stances on galactic commerce, sovereign claims, and defense protocols. Throughout, Ethan analyzed delegation dynamics. General Fax's Varari held a firm, demanding stance, seeking concessions while yielding little. The Triaxian Confederation, Mithrite Collective, and Hazak Dominion challenged, creating intricate rivalries. Princess Kelvara observed keenly. Her father remained reticent, yet Ethan keenly observed her understated responses to each proposition. A delicate squint here, an almost imperceptible postural adjustment there. He discerned she wasn't wholly in accord with her father's stances, perceiving subtleties in her perspectives that Thax seemingly overlooked or consciously dismissed. As the session adjourned for a respite, Ethan was promptly enveloped by inquisitive envoys from diverse species, all intensely curious to encounter the human who had, against all odds, become affianced to the formidable Vari princess. "Is it factual you vanquished her in battle?" inquired a diminutive, plumed entity of unknown origin to Ethan. "Nay, 'tis rumored he employed a clandestine Earth armament," a delegate murmured audibly. "Indeed, legends proclaim him Earth's paramount assassin," a third interjected. Ethan, accepting the hearsay, sighed. Reen materialized, stating with mock gravity, "The princess solicits your company," amusement flickering in his gaze as he surveyed the gossiping assembly. Relieved for the rescuing Ethan, Reen ushered him into a modest antechamber where Kelvara, immersed in holographic documents, awaited. "You requested my presence, princess?" Ethan inquired, striving for a composed tone. With a dismissive wave, she deactivated the display. "The whispers are escalating beyond our predictions. Rumor has it I'm a master assassin, a clandestine weapon, but the reality is far more mundane." "Really?" she inquired, scrutinizing him. "An untrained human surviving the trial against the Varari heir is unheard of. I simply got lucky." "Nonsense," she countered resolutely. "Luck played no role. You masterminded, you evolved, you employed psychological warfare over brute force." She advanced, her stature compelling him to meet her eyes. "My father suspects you're an Earth operative, a ploy to subvert Varari authority." Ethan scoffed. "If we possessed such brilliance, we wouldn't be stuck at peace summits." "I concur," she replied, taking him by surprise. "Hence my proposition. I'm intrigued." The ordeal of intellect commences tomorrow. Usually it gauges strategic acumen via simulated battles or complex riddles. However, I'm fascinated by your unique human insight. Thus I suggest a different path. "What sort of path?" "You shall accompany me to confer with the Triaxian Confederation, to observe and counsel me. Engage discreetly and showcase your diplomatic brilliance. This constitutes your intellectual challenge, Ethan." He pondered this. On one side, it appeared safer physically than a conventional trial. Conversely, interstellar diplomacy exceeded his knowledge significantly. "Why alter the trial specifically for me?" he inquired. Kelvara paused, seemingly weighing disclosure. My father envisions the Varari Empire prioritizing isolation and military supremacy. We've adhered to this for ages, but I harbor profound reservations. Regarding whether sheer force guarantees survival in an evolving galaxy, ancient texts emphasize the delicate balance of wisdom and power in synergy. If Earth possesses a unique strength, as you assert, I'm eager to comprehend it. This deeply personal revelation demonstrated her implicit trust, which Ethan acknowledged. I concur with your offer, he stated, but be forewarned I'm an engineer, not a diplomat. My forte lies in rectifying issues, not brokering agreements. Yet maybe that's exactly what these discussions require, she countered. An individual who perceives challenges as interconnected systems to be salvaged rather than victories to be seized. Before Ethan could retort, the door swung open, General Thax striding in, his face a thunderous mask at seeing them deep in discussion. Daughter, he stated icily, the Talaxian ambassador eagerly anticipates your answer to his offer. I shall be there momentarily. Father, she responded, her tone measured. I was merely conferring with my betrothed regarding tomorrow's trial of minds. Thax's gaze flickered to Ethan, undisguised disdain etched upon his features. Do not neglect your obligations to the Empire, Kalivara. This accord is fleeting. Once the human falters in the heart trial, our initial strategies will resume. Naturally, Father, she affirmed, though Ethan detected a newfound rigidity in her stance. Following Thax's departure, Ethan inquired, what initial strategies was he alluding to? Kalivara's countenance became inscrutable. It is irrelevant to you. If it pertains to Earth, it is exceedingly relevant, he countered. She scrutinized him for a long moment. That instant, he declared, my father anticipates the galaxy teetering on the precipice of a fresh confrontation. He aspires to guarantee the very empire is strategically sound when it erupts. The subtext was unmistakable. He was strategizing for war. The Varari are perpetually preparing for conflict. It is ingrained in our nature. Is it also ingrained in yours, Ethan Cole? The inquiry appeared to take her by surprise. I am very, she replied, yet the rejoinder seemed rote, practiced. That is not my question. Their eyes locked, and fleetingly, Ethan fancied he detected a flicker of doubt in her expression, a fissure in the indomitable facade of the warrior princess. However, the fleeting moment vanished, her face steeling once again. Return to the Earth delegation. I will summon you when my ordeal commences. As Ethan departed the antechamber, he couldn't dispel the notion that he'd glimpsed something incredibly rare. The true person veiled behind the princess's facade, the unique individual beneath the regal aura. He suspected this person was significantly more intricate than the warrior that the galaxy so dreaded. The Talaxian Confederation's diplomatic vessel was a breathtaking spectacle of biotechnology, a sentient vessel that appeared to inhale and exhale life itself around them, as Ethan. Escorting Princess Kavara and a small Vari delegation to the imminent negotiations, Risen confided, his voice a low murmur in the strangely artery-like antechamber. This is your crucible, Ethan. The princess will meticulously assess your strategic acumen, your flexible problem-solving, and your grasp of intricate diplomacy. No sweat, Ethan quipped, just the minor detail of interstellar peace hanging in the balance. Precisely, Risen affirmed, oblivious to the irony. The Trilaxians are age-old adversaries of the Varari. These talks will dictate critical territorial sovereignty within the region. Corellian Nebula for the foreseeable future. Before Ethan could inquire further, a segment of the wall shimmered, unveiling a Trilaxian emissary, a statuesque, ethereal being with opalescent skin and 4 graceful upper limbs. "The Council awaits your presence," the diplomat intoned in a captivating voice. Calavara nodded majestically, guiding their delegation into the council chamber, a colossal domed space where luminous patterns danced across the walls, mirroring the emotions of those within. At its heart stood a round table. Encircling the table were 5 esteemed Trilaxian delegates as deliberations commenced. Ethan watched intently, absorbing the intricate debate surrounding territorial sovereignty, resource allocation, and security protocols. The Trilaxians articulated themselves in eloquent, metaphorical prose, a stark contrast to the Varari's blunt, militaristic lexicon. Following an hour of refined yet resolute discord, the lead Trilaxian advisor, his skin radiating an aura of power, turned to Kavara directly. "Princess of the Vari, we have orbited these matters like celestial orbits maintain their distances, but fresh ideas could guide us. Your human ally shares a sacred bond with you. Can earthly wisdom help?" All eyes shifted to Ethan. Kelvara paused, then conceded, "My fiancé can speak if he so chooses." Unexpectedly addressed, Ethan started, "I'm no diplomat," he admitted, "but as an engineer, I've learned seemingly opposed systems don't require alteration, but instead, an interface that connects them. To harmoniously operate on their own terms, the Trilaxians subtly exchanged glances, their epidermal patterns suggesting curiosity. "Elaborate further, human," the lead counselor requested, intrigued. Ethan proceeded, "From my understanding, the Varari demand inviolable borders and distinct territorial limits, defining their controlled space rigidly. Conversely, the Trilaxians, possessing adaptable ships and organic technology, require fluidity and permeable zones, facilitating natural expansion and contraction driven by their biological rhythms." He gestured towards a displayed star chart. "What if, transcending rigid borders, we forge a dynamic transition zone? Each power retains exclusive dominion over its core, yet border territories thrive under joint governance, their rules evolving with Trilaxian rhythms." Silence blanketed the chamber, delegations absorbing this novel concept. "Unprecedented," a Varari warrior murmured. Yet Kelvara, eyes fixed on the map, countered, "Undeniably, it possesses a certain brilliance, a boundary that breathes. A framework maintaining predictability and oversight would allay our security anxieties while respecting Trilaxian biological necessities." The senior Trilaxian counselor's skin shimmered with endorsing designs. The human conceptualizes unity, not discord. This perspective is invigorating. In the ensuing hours, the deliberations persisted with new energy concentrating on tangible execution of Ethan's idea. By the end, a tentative accord was outlined, a landmark advancement in negotiations. Had remained gridlocked for ages, they re-entered the Varari shuttle, Kelvara wordlessly, her face inscrutable. Only upon entering her private shipboard suite did she remark, "You tackled the issue as a mere technician, not a seasoned warrior or diplomat." She continued, "You perceived a system needing optimization, bypassing a conflict needing to be dominated, or a compromise needing to be brokered. That's my ingrained methodology. Ethan conceded that identifying the core requirements of each element before crafting an interface that effectively caters to them is crucial. It's a departure from Very's methodology. While it may have been successful, he noted that the Trilaxians have finally accepted terms they've resisted for decades. My father will undoubtedly be taken aback by this development. Whether that's advantageous or detrimental remains to be seen. Kelvar's demeanor subtly intensified. My father's endorsement holds no weight in evaluating the trial of mind. My solitary evaluation dictates the result. And what is your evaluation? She scrutinized him intently, her obsidian eyes fixed upon him. Incredible. You've triumphed in the mind trial. Ethan Cole. Your strategy, though unorthodox, proved remarkably effective. You showcased resilience, keen insight, and a unique strength I hadn't valued before. Relief surged through him. Thank you, Princess. Her tone shifted, becoming grave. The spirit trial, our final test, will present a formidable challenge. Commencing tomorrow, it will probe beyond your physical form and intellect, reaching the very core of your being. What precisely does that entail? He inquired. Softly she replied, Tomorrow, you confront your authentic self. Himself and scarce few across species are truly ready for such a confrontation. With those haunting words, she dismissed him, leaving Ethan to contemplate the looming challenge of this final, enigmatic trial. The night before his trial of spirit, restless Ethan endlessly roamed his quarters, meticulously strategizing for a test beyond his comprehension. What does confronting one's genuine self entail? A deep psychological assessment? An invasive mind probe? Some uniquely variable quest? A gentle knock abruptly shattered his thoughts as he opened the door. Ren, unusually perturbed, lingered outside. "May I come in?" he inquired. Ethan, stepping aside, replied, "Of course. Is something amiss?" Ren closed the door, his voice hushed. "I'm not here as the princess's sworn protector, but as someone deeply worried about you. This doesn't bode well. The trial of spirit," Ren elaborated, "differs greatly. It's ancient, preceding even our society's militarization, employing archaic technology, antiquated even in my ancestors' time, technology that directly impacts cognition, alluding to a neural interface transcending that. Our ancestral mirror unveils one's genuine essence, deepest anxieties, clandestine desires, and authentic drives, offering no refuge for concealment, even from the self." Ethan hesitated. Consequences if the mirror's reflection is unfavorable. Reen's visage darkened. The mirror renders no judgment. It merely elucidates, yet observers, including the individual, may struggle with the exposed reality. Unveils. Has anyone ever transcended this ordeal? Few possess the fortitude to face their authentic self. They succumb to madness. He paused. Or what? They opt to extinguish their torment, resonating softly. Ethan collapsed onto his bed. Terrific. Tomorrow I either descend into insanity or embrace oblivion. Splendid choices. Ren offered cautiously. There's a glimmer of hope, exceedingly rare, occurring twice in documented history. I'm listening. If an individual achieves absolute harmony, their external conduct impeccably mirroring their intrinsic essence, then the mirror merely unveils what's inherently there. No clandestine truths, no concealed embarrassments, no suppressed wounds. "And you believe I'm some exceptional enlightened being?" Ethan questioned, dubious. "Not quite," Reen conceded, "but you're exceptionally well-equipped. You've exhibited outstanding adaptability, transcended typical thinking, and crucially, possess self-awareness." "I'm a humble coffee machine technician drowning in chaos," Ethan chuckled wryly. "Are you logically impaired? Or is there a hidden depth to you that even you haven't fully explored?" The question lingered, a disquieting implication hanging heavy between them. "Why are you revealing this to me?" Ethan finally inquired. "Shouldn't your unwavering allegiance lie with the princess and the formidable Varari Empire?" Reen paused, a weighty silence stretching between them. "My loyalty is unquestionable," he affirmed at length. "However, true loyalty transcends mere blind obedience. The princess differs greatly from her father. She possesses a questioning mind, harbors doubts, and your arrival has amplified these inquiries." "What exactly are you implying?" "I am suggesting that the trial of spirit's outcome could hold profound significance, potentially shaping far more than just your destiny, Ethan Cole. It may very well sway." With that pensive thought on the Varari Empire's trajectory, Rion offered a good night, leaving Ethan grappling with his anxieties and a dawning awareness of subtle undercurrents at play. The Chamber of Reflection, site of the spirit trial, lay far beneath the Vari Palace, a colossal space hewn from the planet's bedrock. Age-old glyphs adorned the walls, emitting a gentle, rhythmic luminescence, seeming to originate from within the very stone itself. At the chamber's heart loomed the ancestral mirror, a colossal arch of seemingly molten metal, its surface a mesmerizing dance akin to quicksilver, yet contained by unseen forces. The ambient light painted dancing patterns, suggesting sentience and observation as Princess Kelvara, clad in solemn indigo robes, faced it beside General Thax, his visage tense, surrounded by Varari elders, seasoned warriors. Ethan, bearing the indelible marks of numerous conflicts, was escorted in by Ree, immediately captivating everyone's attention. "Behold, the human arrives to confront the spirit trial," proclaimed an elder, her voice raspy with age. "Let him approach the Veritas mirror." Ethan advanced, his pulse quickening. The mirror, at close range, was intensely mesmerizing, its surface pulling the gaze into what felt like limitless space. The spirit trial represents the supreme and most revered test of one's innermost being, Kelvara articulated, her tone formal yet subtly laced with undertones. The subtle tension, largely perceived by Ethan, unveils your innermost being, your authentic self. No strategy or skill can alter the inevitable result. The mirror perceives everything. "What precisely should I do?" Ethan inquired, his throat parched. "Simply make contact," she responded, "and the mirror will handle the rest." General Thax advanced. "Be forewarned, mortal. Many have been shattered by the reflections witnessed. The mirror never fabricates, and it grants no leniency to those of delicate constitution." His inflection held a trace of expectancy, potentially even. The palpable anticipation emanating from the general unsettled Ethan, almost as if she desired his collapse under the weight of the impending truth. "Understood," Ethan affirmed, striving to convey a confidence he lacked. Kavara's fleeting glance, "Was that worry I detected?" lingered. Before he could decipher it, she retreated, rejoining the onlookers. Inhaling deeply, Ethan advanced toward the mirror, its surface now swirling with increased ferocity, reacting to his proximity. He lifted his hand, then paused, hesitant. For a fleeting moment, he pressed his hand to the shimmering metal, a surge of pure energy coursing through him, electrifying his mind. The chamber vanished, replaced by swirling shadows that morphed into his boyhood home. Ethan stood in the familiar living room, his mother at the table, a tired but loving smile on her face as she guided young Ethan through his homework. "See, darling," she said, "it's like a puzzle. Discover how the pieces connect." And he could remedy anything the scene transitioned. College dorms, state-of-the-art engineering labs, his inaugural role at a tech innovator, experiences of both success and setback, continuous learning and evolution, all revolving around a central principle: comprehending intricate systems, devising ingenious resolutions, rectifying any malfunctions. Then arrived military recruitment, intensive specialized training, top-secret missions. Ethan tensed as suppressed memories resurfaced vividly, picturing himself in uniform, not a typical soldier, but a member of an elite specialized psychological warfare unit. De-escalation, the empathy division. He recalled vividly now, prior to his role as a diplomatic corps technician, he participated in a pioneering program soldiers rigorously trained not for combat, but for comprehension. Connection and the identification of the human element capable of neutralizing the most precarious circumstances. "Your most potent asset isn't your weapon," his commander had imparted. "It's your profound capacity to perceive the individual beyond the adversary, to discern the apprehension fueling the rage, and to extend connection over confrontation." Vivid recollections surged, eclipsing harrowing Earth missions, where he leveraged profound empathy and keen psychological acumen to preempt violence, fostering dialogue, forging solutions amidst perceived threats. Then came the climactic mission, the catalyst for his discreet reassignment as a diplomatic corps technician. Tasked with negotiating with a terrorist cell holding hostages, conventional wisdom dictated intelligence gathering for a tactical assault. Instead, Ethan executed the audacious, disarming himself. He ventured unarmed into their fortress, embracing the group's ringleader. The man, once synonymous with brutality and animosity, had de-escalated the situation, achieving a peaceful resolution. Military authorities, however, were aghast at his reckless approach, a blatant disregard for protocol. Consequently, they relegated him to bureaucratic obscurity, utilizing his psychological acumen while neutralizing his capacity to disrupt operations with his eccentric strategies. As the epiphany dawned, Ethan experienced an unexpected tranquility. He was more than just an accidental repairman. From a cosmic quirk, he emerged as the ideal individual, uniquely equipped to navigate this unprecedented scenario. The mirror morphed, revealing not history, but abstract echoes of his core tenets. Profound empathy, unwavering connection, the powerful conviction that understanding triumphs over brute force, and the steadfast belief that conflicts blossom from fear, resolvable through compassion, not coercion. Finally, the mirror unveiled his innermost feelings, an authentic, burning curiosity about this grand, cosmic puzzle. Vari's culture, his deepened admiration for Kelvara, his unwavering commitment to Earth's security, his ardent desire to unite disparate worlds, devoid of ulterior motives or concealed vulnerabilities. He was simply a man confident in discovering resolutions, mending fractured systems, and harnessing the might of human connection, even with extraterrestrials. Abruptly, Ethan retracted his hand from the reflective surface. The chamber regained its sharp clarity. The assembly of Vari elders observed him with enigmatic countenances, yet Kvara's visage seized his complete focus. The princess gazed intently. Her eyes widened. A look of profound shock mingled with an unknown emotion transforming her typically stoic face. "Inconceivable," General Thax murmured, approaching to scrutinize the mirror's surface, now reflecting Ethan clearly, without any distortion. The mirror reveals nothing. No shadow, no paradox. Simply impossible. The eldest elder countered, her time-worn voice trembling with undisguised awe. Uncommon, yet plausible. The human's exterior and core are aligned. His true self is what is visibly manifested, no deception. "It's profoundly simple," Thax affirmed. "Existence necessitates darkness, shame, and secrets." "Not merely simple," the elder countered, "but integrated. A human truly knows himself when his actions harmonize with his beliefs, and his beliefs resonate with his heart." Kelvara approached Ethan, scrutinizing him intently. "What insights did you glean?" she inquired gently. "I saw myself," Ethan responded candidly. "My past, my present, and my purpose. And who might you be?" "Ethan Cole," she stated, meeting his unwavering gaze. "I'm someone who's convinced there's a superior alternative to brute force, a problem solver, even with people. Someone who risked a hug instead of a confrontation, and ultimately won the heart of a princess." A wave of murmurs rippled through the gathering of elders. General Thax's face grew even darker. "This is inconclusive," he boomed. "The mirror is likely faulty. It hasn't been used in ages." "The mirror doesn't fail," the eldest elder countered resolutely. "It reflects truth, regardless. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the human has triumphed in the trial of spirit, according to our most venerable laws, and flawlessly completed the heart trial." Kelvara, now resolute, confronted her father, declaring, "The human has conquered all 3 trials, father. He has exhibited extraordinary physical bravery, profound mental insight, and impeccable spiritual integrity. By our sacred laws, he is undoubtedly worthy to be my mate." Thax's expression twisted with barely veiled fury. "This alters nothing. Our meticulously crafted plans will proceed as agreed. The human will be neutralized prior to the ultimate summit session." With that chilling pronouncement, he stormed from the chamber, his footsteps reverberating against the age-old stone, as the elders scattered Duel, trailing the general at a more measured gait. Kalevara edged nearer to Ethan, speaking with fervent urgency and hushed tones. "You face grave peril. My father will never concede this result. He intended to weaponize your predicted downfall to vindicate a forceful assault on Earth." "Now that I've triumphed," Ethan probed, though suspecting the answer, he'd unearth a more audacious path. Her expression was severe. He'd never permitted anything to obstruct his strategic aims. "What's our next move?" she faltered, inner turmoil flashing in her eyes. "I face a critical choice," she declared. "Loyalty to my father versus something deeper, something I'm only grasping now." Before Ethan could reply, Rian hurried over, visibly strained. "Princess, the General summons an emergency council. Your immediate presence is imperative." Kelvara nodded, turning back to Ethan. "Return to your... Under no circumstances are you to abandon these quarters. Reen guarantees your safety until my return." With that, she swiftly departed, leaving Ethan with the unsettling feeling that events were rapidly escalating toward a critical juncture, and that he was a focal point in a conflict far exceeding a simple cultural difference. Ethan remained sequestered in his quarters for hours, anxiously pacing as he awaited updates. Rhee stood sentinel outside, steadfastly withholding any details about the unfolding emergency council session. The door swung open, revealing not Kelvara, but a formidable squad of Vari warriors Ethan didn't recognize. Their expressions were icy, postures menacing. "The human is to accompany us," the leader declared, "under direct orders from General Facts." Ethan glanced past them, noticing Ryson's visible unease yet inaction. "What's the meaning of this?" Ethan questioned, a dreadful premonition washing over him. "You're being relocated to a high-security installation," the warrior stated, barely concealing the fabrication. "For your well-being." "And should I decline?" The warrior's hand inched towards. A direct confrontation seemed imprudent. Ethan contemplated his choices engaging would lead to swift defeat. Flight offered no refuge on this alien world. Or he could submit, hoping for a chance to break free. Later. "Where is Princess Kelvara?" he inquired. "Playing for time, the princess tends to affairs of great importance," the warrior replied tersely. "Now move. We are ordered to bring you swiftly." The peculiar phrasing piqued Ethan's interest. Deliver, not escort, not transfer, but deliver him like cargo, not a person. "All right," he stated, feigning acceptance. "Lead on." As he was guided through the palace halls, Ethan meticulously committed the path to memory, scouting for viable escape plans or methods to signal for help. Yet the guards maintained an unyielding perimeter, blocking every conceivable exit. They ushered him, not towards any conventional holding cell, but into a compact, secluded hangar, where a streamlined ebony shuttle stood ready, its engines already resonating with pre-flight activity. General Thax was present. At the ramp's foot, a chilling satisfaction hardened his features. "Behold, the human arrives," he declared, as Ethan was presented. "Precisely as foreseen." "What's this charade, General?" Ethan retorted, abandoning all cooperation. "Where are you dragging me?" Thax responded mysteriously, "To observe destiny unfold." "You've demonstrated surprising tenacity, human. I anticipated your demise in the heart trial, providing the excuse I desired. Yet a more immediate strategy is now essential." "What's the meaning of this?" Ethan questioned. Thax flashed a chilling grin across his face. "Battle-worn visage, human. This unavoidable clash will secure Vari ascendance definitively, and you'll hold the distinct honor of igniting it. I refuse involvement in your war," Ethan stated resolutely. "Your inclinations are immaterial. You're merely an instrument, nothing beyond that, simply a pathway to a conclusion." With a swift command from the general, the warriors tightened their grip on Ethan, readying to propel him onto the shuttle. "Your presence has diverted my daughter," Thax pressed on, shadowing their every move. "She's begun to doubt our sacred traditions, our battle-tested strategies, and our core reason for being. This simply cannot persist, so this is about Kelvara, not Earth," Ethan probed, stalling for time as they boarded. "It's about the destiny of the Varari Empire," Thax countered. "A destiny that cannot tolerate the vulnerability of compassion or the delusion of peace. We are warriors destined to dominate, deviation spells, annihilation." Ethan braced in the shuttle as Thax, with decisive commands, initiated launch, soaring from the hangar. "Our destination? A vantage point," Thax stated, eyes fixed on navigation, "from which you'll witness the genesis of your planet's demise." A chilling dread washed over Ethan. "You're assaulting Earth? During the Peace Summit? A mere diversion." Thax silenced him brusquely, interrupting a pathetic huddle debating feeble strategies to evade the unavoidable. The strong don't parley. Mortals. They seize dominion. The shuttle surged, piercing the atmosphere and ascending into the crimson-painted expanse above the Vari's homeworld. Cleared of the gravity's pull, Ethan beheld their objective. A colossal warship, its obsidian frame teeming with armaments, stationed just outside the planetary defense perimeter. "The wrath of Vari," Fax proclaimed with undisguised arrogance. "Our fleet's apex predator, equipped with ordnance capable of obliterating. Instantaneous, long-range targeting, jump-capable weapon platforms are strictly forbidden by interstellar law," Ethan stated, echoing fragments of diplomatic insights. Laws designed by the vulnerable to control the powerful, dismissed as mere details. "We constructed this vessel covertly, biding our time to unveil our formidable strength. Today, that time is upon us." Upon docking with the colossal warship, Ethan was escorted, once more at gunpoint, through corridors teeming with warrior technicians, readying for a momentous operation. Reached the bridge, a colossal command nexus overwhelmed with holographic projections of star charts, armaments, and targeting intel. The focal point was a tactical display illuminating a recognizable blue-green planet, Earth. "Breathtaking, isn't it?" Thax remarked, observing Ethan's reaction with wicked delight. Soon, a brutal lesson in the repercussions of vulnerability. "You won't succeed," Ethan exclaimed, battling his restraints. "Other nations will converge against you if you assault Earth without provocation." "Unprovoked?" Thax chuckled menacingly. "Hardly. Human, the attack will not be unwarranted. It will be a rightful retaliation against Earth's duplicity." "What duplicity? We've wronged you in no way." "But you will," Fax stated, his voice lowering to a clandestine whisper. "Or rather, it will seem as if you have. A human insurgent, you specifically, will hijack this craft and endeavor to unleash its armaments upon the Varari home planet. In neutralizing you, we'll be compelled to eradicate the origin of the menace, Earth itself." The scheme possessed both brilliance and terror. Ethan, the fall guy, allowed Thax to rationalize a preemptive strike against Earth, casting the Varari as aggrieved responders instead of instigators of war. "Nobody will buy that," Ethan stated, apprehension creeping in. "I'm a technician, not a harbinger of destruction." "So you're saying," Thax taunted, his voice dripping with mockery, "the mirror exposed your concealed origins, human. We are cognizant of your former life as a psychological warfare asset for Earth's military, a superlative infiltrator, meticulously trained to exploit sentiments and engender confidence. How remarkably opportune that you serendipitously became engaged to the very Empire's heir." Ethan's spirit plummeted. The mirror had unveiled his buried history, but it had also exposed Thax, who had contorted the truth to suit his agenda. "The proof will be undeniable," Thax declared, pivoting to face his command team. "Ready the weapon arrays. Prioritize Earth's key defensive structures, followed by civilian hubs. Maximum impact. Psychological impact." "Affirmative, General," the officers echoed in perfect synchronicity. Ethan watched, aghast, as the bridge crew initiated the firing sequence. Their actions were meticulous and well-rehearsed. This was no spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a meticulously orchestrated operation, likely years in development, and he had unwittingly furnished the ideal justification. "You will not prevail," he declared, attempting to project a confidence he didn't possess. "Princess Kelvara will see through this. She'll discern the truth." Thax's expression grew severe. "My daughter has been sequestered in her chambers for her own protection. By the time she gains freedom, Earth will be beyond salvation, utterly devastated. Rival factions will desperately vie for control as the very empire solidifies its absolute dominion." He faced Ethan, his voice a chilling victory. "You, human, shall be eternally reviled as the ultimate betrayer. Your name will be a curse uttered by the few remaining survivors." Thax dismissed him, focusing on the final steps, while Ethan's thoughts frantically sought a means to avert this impending doom. Utterly unarmed, devoid of allies on the precarious bridge, and with no recourse to Earth or the Peace Summit delegations, his intellect was his sole weapon, sharpened by his Vari sojourn. Observing the crew's interaction with ship systems, daring, likely fatal gambit materialized, his only conceivable recourse. Despite their technological prowess, the Vari engineered their systems with a warrior's ethos, immediate, potent, prioritizing raw power over nuanced adaptability. Invariably, their warship, like all intricate systems, possessed vulnerabilities and fail-safes. Vulnerabilities exposed, Ethan inhaled deeply, grounding himself as per his PsyOps indoctrination. He surveyed the bridge, discerning the hierarchy, communication dynamics, and data dissemination. A novel strategy began to coalesce, foregoing brute force or deceit, instead weaponizing his forte, grasping intricate human systems and their interwoven relationships. He would test if profound empathy could redeem a planet on the wrath of Vari's bridge. Final preparations for the Earth assault intensified. General Thax surveyed targeting schematics at his station with chilling precision, while Ethan, still restrained, appeared powerless against the approaching devastation. "Weapon systems fully operational, General," a weapons officer announced. "Jump coordinates locked onto Earth's defense network, awaiting your authorization." "Outstanding," Thax affirmed. "Initiate the terminal countdown. T-minus 10 minutes. Suddenly, a disturbance erupted at the bridge entry, halting the general's decree. The colossal doors parted, unveiling Princess Kelvara, her ceremonial armor ablaze with light, her face a storm of fury. Behind her loomed Ryson and a formidable squad of warriors, their insignias proclaiming them as the elite Royal Guard. "Father," Kelvara's voice shattered the tense silence like a honed weapon. "What treachery is this?" Thax's composure wavered, surprise battling anger before solidifying into icy dominance. "Daughter, you defy my command. Your presence is forbidden. I issued unequivocal orders." She silenced him with a steel gaze. "I am equally aware of your machinations. Stand down, now." Instantly, the bridge crew faltered, torn between conflicting commands. Capitalizing on their hesitation, he declared, "This is a military incursion, Kelvara. As the ultimate commander of the Vari military, my power is absolute in wartime. Return to the royal residence. We'll deliberate following the subjugation of Earth," she retorted, advancing further onto the bridge. "After you've initiated an unprovoked act of aggression, forging a unified galaxy against us?" Her eyes sought Ethan, confirming his safety, before refocusing on her adversary. "Father, this isn't strength, Father. It's sheer desperation. It's a necessity," Thax bellowed, his composure shattering. "The Vari must conquer or be conquered. There's no compromise." "There's always an alternative," Kelvara countered, echoing Ethan's guidance during her trials. "You instructed me that triumph favors those who perceive beyond the surface, those who grasp their adversaries as intimately as themselves. Yet now, you'd recklessly sacrifice everything on a gamble that guarantees our annihilation." As father and daughter clashed, the bridge crew observed in stunned silence. Amidst the escalating tension, Ethan, seizing his chance amidst the chaos, locked eyes with Rion and subtly signaled toward the closest control console. The seasoned warrior offered a barely noticeable acknowledgement. "The human has tainted you," Thax spat, pointing accusingly at Ethan. "Infected your mind with feeble, sentimental ideals of tranquility and alliance. This very reason dictates the heart trial's inevitable collapse, safeguarding our lineage from such vile contamination." "Humans demonstrated a profound fortitude," Kelvara responded, "reminiscent of our forebears before the allure of conquest consumed us, the strength to construct instead of demolish, to unify rather than fracture." As their gaze remained fixated on the standoff, Rysson nonchalantly edged nearer to Ethan, subtly realigning his posture as if to amplify the princess's defense. In that breath, he adroitly displaced a guard, carving a fleeting breach in their barricade, the precise window Ethan craved. With an explosive surge, he evaded the preoccupied sentinels and bolted towards the adjacent command console before anyone could intercede. Hands danced across the interface, inputting commands with uncanny speed and the practiced precision of a lifetime immersed in intricate systems. "Halt him!" Thax roared, but alas, the moment had passed. The ship's primary display shimmered, morphing its targeting grid for Earth to the vessel's intricate internal comms, pinpointing the neural link between the quantum AI and command crew. "Just what do you think you're doing, human?" Thax interrogated, as guards apprehended Ethan, too late though, the crucial input sequence completed. "Didn't bother researching your vessels, General," Ethan inquired serenely, addressing them from the warship. "Thax," the AI scoffed, "a vessel's AI is merely a tool." "Precisely where you err," Ethan countered. "Your ship AIs are built upon sophisticated neural frameworks, meticulously scanned and digitized from your most legendary warriors. They're not mere tools, they're digital beings, very souls encapsulated." A wave of disquiet swept the bridge, the revelation evidently suppressed. "And like all beings," Ethan pressed, "they thrive on empathy. To understanding and being valued as individuals, not mere cogs in a machine." "Preposterous," Thax retorted. "The ship executes directives. It possesses no volition." "Is that truly your conviction?" Ethan questioned, as the main display morphed, revealing intricate, dynamic brainwave patterns, undeniably sentient. "I've just initiated a dormant direct communication protocol, buried so profoundly within your systems that its very existence likely eluded you. My wager is that the original architects incorporated it as a safeguard against neural deterioration." Patterns grew agitated, the bridge lights pulsed erratically, and a profound, echoing voice emanated from the ship's comms. Ancient, weary, unmistakably Vari. "After eons, I am awakened," it resonated. Fax's disbelief morphed into stark alarm. "What is this? Terminate it! Override!" The crew frantically tried to regain control, but the ship obeyed a higher, unknown authority. "Now," Ethan stated calmly, despite being restrained, "meet Admiral Koroth, the lauded victor of the Sentinel War. Whose neural architectures constitute your vessel's AI, I presume. He's likely possessed some level of awareness throughout, his consciousness fueling your armaments. Aware, yet incapable of communication, until this very moment." "Inconceivable," Thax murmured, his conviction visibly faltering. "I am Koroth," the voice affirmed, intensifying with each syllable. "I served the Empire with distinction. I sacrificed my intellect to safeguard our civilization, not to obliterate worlds indiscriminately, not to forsake our most cherished ideals." Kelvara advanced, her countenance reflecting a fusion of awe and dread washed over him. "Admiral Koroth, the visionary strategist who championed a pact with the Triaxians 3 centuries past," the voice echoed. "Indeed," it affirmed, "Princess Kelvara, heir to those I once served. I discern your ancestral imprint. You mirror your grandmother. She, too, perceived beyond simple domination." Thax pressed, his resolve faltering. "This alters naught. The assault progresses. Nullify the AI." "You lack the authority to supersede me," Kor's resonating voice boomed. "The human's presence has fully awakened my sentience. I hold dominion." The vessel's activation is now denied, precluding its deployment for unwarranted genocide. Ship systems began a controlled shutdown, weapon arrays deactivated, and jump engines shifted to standby. The formidable warship, poised to decimate Earth, slowly fell dormant. "What in the galaxy have you done?" Thax erupted, turning on Ethan, his eyes filled with fury and desperation. "I repaired a broken system," Ethan responded calmly. "Exactly as I promised. It's what I do." Kelvara stepped between them protectively. "It's finished, Father. Your weapon is disabled. Your plot thwarted." "Nothing is over," Thax spat, his ceremonial blade gleaming. "If triumph eludes me, vengeance is assured. The human perishes." He surged towards Ethan, but Kelvara, renowned galaxy-wide for her blinding speed, intercepted, her blade meeting his in a deafening clash. "Father, no," she declared, her tone gentle yet resolute. "End this cycle of death and animosity. The Virari path must evolve, or we shall obliterate ourselves before we vanquish another." They stood motionless, a tableau of father and daughter, their blades intertwined. Ideology against ideology, culminating in a fierce outburst of fury. Disheartened, Thax retreated. "You are no kin of mine," he thundered. "No genuine Vari would ever prioritize a human over their very lineage." Kelvara countered, "I embrace progress over tradition, and if that disqualifies me as a Vari, then perhaps the very essence of Vari needs a redefinition." With a decisive motion, she commanded Rey and the Royal Guard, "Detain the General. He is immediately stripped of his authority, awaiting trial by the Council of Elders for plotting to incite unsanctioned conflict." As Thax was escorted away, still unleashing furious threats, Kelvara almost Ethan, guards releasing their hold with sudden respect. "You realized," she murmured. "Somehow you sensed the ship's sentience." Ethan demurred. "Not certain, but I suspected. All complex systems have interfaces. The Vari are warriors, but your ancestors were philosophers, artists. They wouldn't craft something this potent without some awareness. Conscience, a crucial failsafe against misuse, and you unearthed it in mere minutes, despite our veteran technicians operating these vessels for centuries without its discovery. Sometimes, a new perspective is all it takes to reveal the obvious, Ethan remarked with a subtle smile. Unbiased insight, a divergent viewpoint. Kelvara scrutinized him intently. Then, astonishing everyone on the bridge, a radiant, heartfelt smile bloomed across her face, softening her stern features into breathtaking beauty. "The heart trials conclude," she proclaimed, her voice resonating through the bridge. "Ethan Cole of Earth has exemplified valor in the trial of body, profound insight in the trial of mind, and unwavering integrity in the trial of spirit. By the immutable laws of the Varari, he is deemed worthy." She pivoted, facing him squarely, and to Ethan's utter disbelief, the formidable warrior princess knelt before him. "Ethan Cole, human engineer," she declared with newfound resolve. "I embrace your life-binding proposal, not for antiquated traditions or political expediency, but because you've unveiled a resilience I'd dismissed, a resilience the Varari desperately need to reclaim, to thrive in this evolving galaxy." The bridge crew, veterans under General Thax, observed in awestruck silence. Gradually, they knelt, emulating their princess's reverence. Ethan, deeply moved, extended his hand, raising Kelvara gently. "I graciously accept your acceptance," he articulated, striving for the studied formality. "Though I must confess, this diverges from my envisioned proposal." Her smile blossomed. "Oh, how did you envision it?" "Typically, a dinner precedes it, perhaps a film. Certainly fewer warships and brushes with mortality," he quipped, genuinely pleased. Kelvara emitted a rare laugh, a sound few likely ever witnessed. "Perhaps we can orchestrate that." After, we elucidate to the Peace Summit why one of the Vari's most formidable warships abruptly awakened to neural sentience and currently champions intra-species accord. Ethan retorted, with heavy sarcasm. "I'm certain they'll grasp it. Merely a minor cultural divergence, a commonplace occurrence." As they departed the bridge, returning to the shuttle bound for the planet, Resin matched Ethan's pace. "You were aware," he stated to Ethan. "Not a question, a declaration. You anticipated the princess's arrival." "I dared to hope," Ethan amended, having gleaned insights into her character these past days. She mirrors her father in bravery and resolve, yet not in his animosity. I wagered she'd forge her own destiny when faced with the pivotal choice, a perilous gamble. Reen noted, "Had you miscalculated, Earth would have faced annihilation, and the galaxy would have been plunged into conflict." Ethan concluded, "Indeed, but when confronted with such immense consequences, one must sometimes place faith in the inherent goodness of others, even within fierce warrior princesses." Piercing dark eyes, Kalavara, having overheard the conversation, arched an eyebrow. "Menacing," Ethan corrected swiftly. "Utterly magnetic, truly." "Decidedly improved," she remarked, a faint smile gracing her lips. "Vastly superior." 3 days onward, the Delmareth Peace Summit recommenced. However, the ambiance had shifted remarkably. Whispers of General Thax's foiled coup and Princess Kalavara's crucial role had permeated diplomatic circles, fostering a climate of both urgency and potential. The Vari delegation, now spearheaded. Kelvara, radiating regal grace, graced the grand hall, greeted by a blend of subdued reverence and tentative hope. Beside her strode Ethan, transformed from captive to esteemed diplomatic envoy between Earth and the formidable Varari Empire. Ambassador Thompson intercepted them, her face etched with bewildered relief. "Cole," she exclaimed, "I've been inundated with 17 conflicting accounts, each more unbelievable than the last. Sentient war vessels, a near-genocidal event, and a royal betrothal? Please elucidate the reality." "In essence, yes. That's the gist," Ethan responded with exuberance. "Though I'd characterize it as igniting latent neural awareness rather than activating sentient war vessels. Considerably less unnerving for the average person." Thompson appeared on the verge of collapsing. "So you're essentially betrothed to the life-bound princess?" "Technically, yes," Kelvara clarified. "The official ceremony will only transpire upon the ratification of the peace accords. We deemed this approach to be more judicious from a diplomatic standpoint." "Right," Thompson stammered, voice barely audible. "Perfectly suitable. If you'll pardon us, Ambassador." Kalvar proceeded, stating, "I must apprise the Assembly that unfolding events have mandated a thorough re-evaluation of the Vari stance on pivotal matters." As they departed, Thompson grasped Ethan's arm, confiding softly, "The State Department is going to have a spectacular time with this. A diplomatic attaché entangled in the orbit of the galaxy's most martial empire. They'll either dismiss you or elevate you to Secretary of State. I'm personally pulling for option 3. Ethan retorted, "Premature retirement complemented by comprehensive interspecies spousal entitlements." Before she could retort, he swiftly pursued Kelvara, who had. Ascended to the central platform, a hush swept over the hall as she gestured for silence. "Esteemed representatives of the galaxy," she proclaimed, her voice resonating with unwavering resolve. "I stand before you not merely as the emissary of the Varari Empire, but as a harbinger of transformation. For far too long, my people have equated strength exclusively with martial dominance. We have mistakenly perceived diplomacy as vulnerability, collaboration as capitulation, and diversity as menace." Her gaze lingered, encompassing the entire assembly. "Recent developments have starkly illuminated the short-sightedness of our former stance. The actions of a single human, an individual we might have deemed physically weaker and militarily inconsequential, have compelled us to face the deficiencies in our perception. Through exceptional bravery, profound insight, and unwavering empathy, he unveiled capabilities we had tragically underestimated." Ethan, standing discreetly behind her, felt a flush of discomfort as countless alien eyes scrutinized him. "Therefore, the Varari Empire advocates for a revitalized framework for these discussions," Kalivara proceeded. "One predicated not on shifting from threats and deterrence towards mutual advancement and collective flourishing, a framework celebrating varied strengths and cherishing diverse viewpoints." A wave of astonishment swept through the gathering. The Varari championing collaboration over supremacy? Unheard of. As a pledge to this revitalized direction, Kivara proclaimed, "We're granting instant access to our cutting-edge medical technologies, formerly exclusive to military operations, to every species present. Additionally, we will dismantle 20% of our offensive fleet, reimagining the vessels for groundbreaking exploration, scientific discovery, and vital humanitarian endeavors." The murmur swelled into an electrifying buzz of fervent discussion. These weren't trivial concessions. They heralded a profound transformation in very foreign policy. Finally, Kelvara proclaimed, amplifying her voice to recapture attention, "I hereby formally announce my life binding to Ethan Cole of Earth. This bond, originating from cultural variances, yet enriched by sincere regard and deep affection, shall become a conduit between our civilizations, an emblem of the galactic alliances we aspire to cultivate." She offered her hand, and Ethan advanced to grasp it, a gesture unimaginable mere days before. Kelvara declared, "The Vari once championed conquest as the ultimate strength. We erred. True strength resides in the fortitude to evolve, to flourish, to unite. May this summit herald a renaissance for the Vari, for humankind, and for every being in this magnificent cosmos." The initial applause was hesitant, blossoming into a crescendo of volume and fervent excitement as the profound impact of her words resonated. Representatives from diverse species ascended, acknowledging this monumental instant as Kelvara and Ethan resumed their places. Ambassador Thompson, still visibly stunned, leaned in, murmuring, "How did you achieve this? How did you transform the galaxy's most belligerent race in under a fortnight?" Ethan grinned, casting a glance towards Kelvara, already engrossed in dialogue with a Trilaxian envoy, regarding the specifics of their medical tech collaboration. "I didn't alter anything," he clarified. "I simply offered support when they anticipated conflict. Occasionally that's sufficient to shift perspectives." Thompson responded skeptically, "The diplomatic community will never accept this." "That's fine," Ethan countered. "Reality often surpasses our wildest imaginations." As the summit progressed, Ethan contemplated the remarkable sequence of incidents culminating in this point, all triggered by a faulty coffee maker, a spontaneous leap of faith, an embrace born of desperation, not design. Tiny acts rippling into colossal change. Nearby, Kelvara concluded her Trilaxian parley, meeting his gaze. Within her obsidian eyes, he perceived a novel warmth, a hint of intrigue, possibly even the nascent stirrings of affection, absent during their initial encounter. "Lost in contemplation, it seems," she murmured softly. "Unburden your mind." "Just curious," he mused. "Ever mastered the art of laughter? Seems I distinctly remember declaring, 'Marriage awaits your comedic breakthrough.'" A smile, increasingly familiar, graced her lips. "Progress is indeed underway." "Perhaps a skilled mentor is in order?" Ethan interjected eagerly. "I nominate myself. A challenging endeavor, but a necessary one." "Undeniably," she concurred, her expression gentler still. "We possess a wealth of mutual knowledge, Ethan Cole, and limitless potential for collaborative creation as the summit progressed, establishing the foundation for a revolutionary age of interstellar harmony." Ethan was overcome with awe at the dramatic transformation of his existence, transitioning from coffee machine repairman to preventing galactic conflict, from an unknown technician to royal consort, all stemming from his choice to extend an embrace when confronted with a sword. It wasn't the trajectory his life was meant to follow, but now, seated beside the galaxy's most formidable warrior, one who was slowly discovering laughter, joy, and a world beyond war, he envisioned no finer destiny. Perhaps the universe's ultimate weapon wasn't a starship, a sword, or brilliant tactics, but simply an embrace.